The stars were calm, silent, and endless. Space had no noise, only movement. But something was coming, something fast, something cold. A silver object floated through the black sky. It looked like a small broken satellite. Its lights blinked slowly. Like a weak heart, it had traveled far too far, across empty systems, past dead planets, and destroyed moons. No one knew where it came from. But it was not human. Far below, on a quiet night in South America, a boy was watching the stars with his old telescope. His name was Leo, 13 years old, curious and quiet. He loved space. He dreamed of flying far away. He saw a light streak across the sky. It wasn't a star. It was too slow. It was too controlled. It was falling. He ran inside to tell someone, but no one listened. It was late. His mother was asleep. His father worked the night shift, so he went back outside. He looked again. The light was gone, but something had landed in the forest. By the next morning, news spread. A strange object had crashed in the Amazon rainforest. Scientists and soldiers were already on the way. People said it might be a satellite. Others said it was a weapon. Some said it was a lie, but it was real. Dr. Lina Moraz, a space scientist from Chile, was the first to see it up close. She stood in front of the crash site, wearing a white suit, her breath tight in her mask. The object was strange. It was made of smooth silver metal, no flags, no words. It's just one small blinking light. It looked damaged, burned, like it had escaped something. Something worse. Dr. Moraz touched the metal. It was warm, still alive. Her heart beat faster. Suddenly a small hatch opened. A light turned green. A soft sound came out. A voice. It was broken, slow, and deep. Not human. We tried. All failed. The humans. Might. Then silence. Everyone froze. The voice played again, this time faster, more clear, like it was learning. We couldn't stop it. Not the Zalari, not the Thorak, not the Mind Shade. It destroys everything. People began to whisper. What is it talking about? We couldn't. They stop. Then the voice continued. It's coming. Earth will be next. But maybe humans can. The light turned red. The object shut down. Dr. Morris took a step back. This was not a satellite. This was a warning. She called her team. We need to get this to the lab now. The object was moved to a secret facility. Only top scientists were allowed to see it. They studied the materials. They were not from Earth. The language inside was like code, but it kept changing, learning. They named it the last signal. Meanwhile, strange things started to happen. Satellites around Jupiter stopped working. Deep space telescopes lost signal. A radio tower in Iceland picked up a wave with no sound, just a heavy hum. A young astronomer, Raj Patel, saw something with his private telescope, a black cloud moving between stars, but it wasn't smoke, it was eating light. He recorded it, sent the video to Dr. Moore. She watched the footage 10 times. It didn't make sense. The thing didn't move like a ship. It looked alive, but too big to be real. It passed near a star, and the star dimmed. Like its energy had been stolen. The team compared the footage with the alien probe's message. Then they realized this was it. This was what had destroyed other civilizations. This was the thing no one could stop. They called it the pulse. It didn't fly. It spread. It moved through space like a virus, a cloud of dark energy that erased planets, minds, and machines. It had no face, no voice. Just power, and now it was coming toward Earth. The governments were warned. Secret meetings were held. Some leaders wanted to prepare weapons. Others wanted to hide the truth. But the pulse did not care. A few days later, a mining station near Mars went dark. No message, no signs of life. A rescue ship was sent. It found the station empty. The people were gone. Not dead. Gone. The metal walls had strange burns, like something had touched them and pulled the energy out. In the control room, one word was burned into the screen. Observe. Everyone was afraid now. Back on Earth, a breakthrough happened. A young intern named Aida accidentally played music near the alien object. Soft piano music. The light turned on again. This time the voice spoke more clearly. Humans ... are strange. Music ... emotion ... chaos ... It paused. Maybe is the key. The scientists were shocked. The probe was responding to music, emotion. Dr. Morez had a theory. All other races tried to fight it with logic, power, and machines. But humans are different. We act with feeling. We make mistakes. We improvise. The team looked at her. You're saying our weakness might be our strength? Yes, she said. The pulse is order, pure control, consumes. But we are not like that. We don't follow the rules. The alien probe's data showed images of other worlds. Beautiful alien cities, now gone. Spaceships. Now dust. They all failed. One image showed a tall blue creature standing before a black sky, its hands raised. Then flash gone, all lost. But the last image was Earth, and one word below it, hope. The signal ended. Then something strange happened. Earth's moon shifted slightly, just enough to notice. Just enough to scare the scientists. A hidden satellite caught a glimpse of something behind the moon. A shadow, not a ship, not a cloud, but something. Pulsing, it had arrived. No sound. Number? Lights. Just pressure in the air. Some people began hearing things, whispers, dreams of black oceans and falling skies. A dog barked at the clouds for 3 hours. Birds stopped flying in certain directions. Something had changed. Dr. Morez looked at the stars. It's watching. Us now. She turned to her team. We have to do something no one else tried. We have to be human. All the way. What does that mean? Ida asked. It means we don't fight it with machines. We fight it with madness, with art, with chaos. Everything that makes us us. The pulse was closer now. Only 30 days. Left. The world had to unite. But would they listen? Or was it already too late? The last signal blinked once more. Don't try to stop it, it whispered. Surprise. The light died. The sun rose like normal. The sky was blue. Children played in parks. People went to work. The world looked peaceful. But space was not far above Earth. The stars were changing. Something moved between them. Not fast, not slow, just steady, like a heart that never stops beating. Pulse was on its way. Most people still didn't know. The governments tried to keep it quiet. News was controlled. The crash in the forest was called a meteor. The missing Mars station was called a system failure. But the scientists knew the truth. Raj Patel, the young astronomer, couldn't sleep. Every night, he pointed his telescope toward the dark part of the sky where he saw the strange black shape. Every night it was closer. No light, just a hole where stars should be. He recorded everything, shared it with Dr. Morez. She watched. The new footage. The pulse was now 0.05 light-years away. If it kept moving at the same speed, it would reach Earth's orbit in 26 days. In secret labs across the planet, scientists and generals gathered. They called it Pulse Protocol, Earth's emergency plan. Satellites were activated, defense systems powered up. Old space weapons were brought out of deep storage, but no one had seen the pulse clearly. No one understood what it really was. Something strange happened. In a lab in Switzerland, the alien object, the last signal, activated again. No one touched it. No one played music this time. It came alive on its own. The light turned white. A map appeared. A hologram showing space. Dots appeared. Red, blue, green. Each dot was a world, a species, a home. One by one, the dots blinked, then vanished, destroyed. The Zellar, the Thorak, the Mindshade, the El, Pain. So many names, so many lives. All gone. And then Earth appeared on the map. Still lit, still alive, but the pulse was near. The alien AI inside the object spoke again. Its voice was smoother now, like it had learned more English. Every race used logic, weapons, Order. All failed. You are not the same. You are unstable. Dr. Morez frowned. Unstable? Yes, the voice replied. Humans are not predictable. That is your advantage. The scientists shared a look. A general asked, Are you saying we can win? The AI paused. You are the only species. That might. They had hope. But they also had fear. In Alaska, a military satellite lost contact. Engineers checked the system. Nothing was wrong. 2 hours later, 3 more satellites went offline over Europe, Asia, and the Pacific. All silent. Then strange images appeared on their screens. Images of cities, old and broken, not human cities, alien, but familiar, like dreams, like warnings. One image showed a classroom full of empty chairs. Another showed a baby floating in space. Crying without sound? No one understood the meaning, but everyone felt the message. You are next, on the other side of the world. A little girl named Nora sat in her bedroom, playing with building blocks. She was quiet, gentle. She loved puzzles. Her father, a software engineer, was working on the alien objects language system from home. Nora walked over to his computer. She pressed a few buttons, just playing. Something happened. The screen changed. A new file opened. A file no one had found before. Inside it was a video. Her father stared in shock. What did you do? Nora smiled. I just wanted to see what it does. The video played. It showed the pulse, a black shape covering the stars. It wasn't just a cloud. It had structure, layers, like a brain, like a machine, like a living storm. But then came something different. The pulse moved toward a planet, but stopped. That planet had a strange energy signal. A signal full of random codes, broken music, and voices laughing. The pulse paused, scanned it, and moved around it. It didn't destroy it, Nora asked. Why didn't it attack that one? Her father didn't know. He sent the video to Dr. Morez. She watched it with her team. They ran tests. The planet in the video had no defenses, no weapons. It was chaotic, wild. The signal it gave off was full of errors, glitches, emotion, and that made the pulse hesitate. It didn't know what to do. That was the key. We don't fight it like a war, said Dr. Morez. We confuse it. We scare it. We be human. The generals didn't like that idea. How do we prepare for something we can't understand? They asked. Dr. Morez answered. We don't understand it. It doesn't understand us. That's our only chance. Meanwhile, the pulse sent a message, not to Earth's leaders, but to the entire planet. It came through phones, TVs, radios. Every screen went black, then showed stars. Then a voice spoke, deep, cold, not human. You are observed. You are disorder. You will be corrected. Then the stars on screen began to blink out, one by one, till there was only darkness. The screens turned off. People screamed. Some cried. Others just stared now. The world knew. The truth was out. News channels tried to explain it. Some called it fake. Others called it a test from the government. But the fear was real. People started leaving cities. Some prepared bunkers. Others made art. Some danced in the streets because humans react in strange ways. And that was the point. The pulse didn't understand it. The next day, a deep space probe near Saturn picked up a signal. A sound, a hum, very low, almost silent. A breath. But it wasn't coming from a machine. It was coming from inside the pulse. They listened to the hum, played it back, changed the pitch. They heard something hidden in the sound, words not in English, not in any known language. But when run through the alien objects translator, it said, Begin simulation Earth, study behavior, prepare extraction. Dr. Morez felt her stomach turn. It's copying us. It's creating a version of Earth. It wants to learn how we react. She looked at her team. It's building a shadow Earth, someone asked, to test what works, what breaks us. Back at the observatory, Raj Patel stared through his telescope again. His eyes went wide. He called Dr. Morez. "There's something new," he said. "Next to the moon." "What is it?" "I think. It's another Earth." Raj Patel couldn't stop shaking. He looked again through his telescope. The image didn't change. Next to the moon, just behind the shadow, there was a shape. It looked like Earth, but darker. No clouds, no oceans. Just black land, glowing. Red lines, and moving lights like blood in veins. He recorded everything. His voice in the background was shaking. "This is not a moon base. It's something else." The fake Earth moved slowly, as if breathing. Every few minutes, small lights blinked across its surface. Patterns, like signals. He called Dr. Moore. She picked up instantly. "I found something," Raj said. "I know," she replied. "We see it too." Satellites all over Earth were now focused on it. They had no name for it. Some called it Shadow. Earth. Others called it the Mirror. But the alien object, the last signal, spoke first. "Simulation active. Observation complete. Initiating Phase 2. No one knew what Phase 2 meant. Then the object shut down again, in a base deep underground. Leaders from around the world met in secret. Scientists, generals, engineers, and even artists. Dr. Morris stood at the front. "We call this meeting to start the Pulse Protocol," she said. The room was tense. Everyone listened. She explained everything: what the pulse was, what it had done, how no other race had survived. She showed the map of destroyed civilizations. She showed the data from the last signal. She showed the shadow Earth floating beside the moon. "It is testing us," she said, "copying us, studying us." The Russian general leaned forward. "What do you want us to do?" "Not fight it," she said. "Confuse it." The American general scoffed. "We have weapons, nukes, orbit cannons, AI drones." "They will not work," she replied calmly. "Every advanced race tried that. It absorbed everything." Another scientist stood up. "We believe the pulse sees order as weakness. It understands systems, logic, patterns, but chaos, emotion, art. It struggles to process that. So what do we do?" a young voice asked. It was Aida, the intern. Everyone turned to her. Dr. Morris smiled. "We make Earth unpredictable." The plan was simple, but strange. They would split the planet into zones. Each zone would behave in a completely different way. Some would go silent. Some would send strange signals, music, laughter, code mixed with poetry. Some zones would act like ancient tribes. Others would create false wars, fake disasters, digital illusions, anything to confuse the pulse. They called it Project Chaos. The artists were asked to help. Painters, writers, dancers, game designers, even pranksters. They were told, "Make the weirdest, wildest, most human signals you can." At first, people thought it was a joke. But when the pulse moved again closer, just outside Earth's orbit, everyone took it seriously. The fake Earth beside the moon grew brighter. It now had clouds, oceans, cities that looked like Earth's, but twisted like copies made from memory. Then the pulse sent a new message. Again, to everyone, "Your system is unstable. Correction will begin soon. Final test active." Then, something terrifying happened. A man in Tokyo collapsed. No sickness, no injury. But when he woke up, he spoke in a different voice. "We were the mind shade," he whispered. "We made illusions too. It didn't work." Then he screamed. His body shook. He went silent. He was dead. More people started showing strange symptoms. Not many, just a few. They called them echoes, humans who somehow connected to the pulse's memories. Like ghosts from other worlds were waking up inside their minds. Raj Patel got one too. He passed out for 5 minutes. When he woke up, he wrote something on his window. "To confuse it, you must lose your mind." Dr. Morez looked at the message. "He's right?" She said, "The next 48 hours were the strangest in human history. Children started painting wild shapes on walls. Teenagers made strange music using spoons, fire alarms, and bird sounds. Adults danced in the streets with masks and mirrors. Some scientists built machines that made No sense, just flashing lights and spinning wheels. One farmer sent a rocket, full of cows' laughter recordings, into space. Another person broadcasted every bad joke ever told by humans. The pulse hesitated. Its movement slowed. The fake Earth beside the moon started glitching. Clouds blinked in and out. Buildings collapsed and rebuilt. Trees floated. It couldn't keep up. It was trying to simulate chaos, but it didn't understand it. It copied shapes, but not reasons. It copied music, but not soul. Meanwhile, the real Earth became more united than ever, not through rules, but through madness. Even the military played along. Warships blinked in strange colors. Fighter jets drew symbols in the sky. Army bands played jazz instead of marching tunes. Then the pulse spoke again, this time in a calm, almost curious voice. "Why are you like this?" No one answered. Instead, a group of school kids sent a message back. Just one word. Because. The pulse paused. Then, for the first time since it was detected, it moved backward, only a little. But enough it was confused. It had learned fear. But it wasn't over. The last signal turned. On one final time it said, "Final decision coming. Shadow Earth will activate. You have one chance. Show it who you are." And then, the fake Earth. Beside the moon, lit-up cities came to life. Ships. Launched digital versions of real humans walked the streets. It was a test. The pulse had built a copy of Earth, and now it wanted to see the real one fight itself, or surprise itself, or destroy the simulation. No one knew. Dr. Morez looked out the window. The moon was glowing, and next to it, Earth's mirror was waiting. She turned to her team. "Get ready," she said. "We have 72 hours left." The world became quiet. Not silent, but tense. Like everyone was holding their breath. In the sky, near the moon, the copy of Earth's shadow Earth was now fully active. It looked just like the real Earth, but it was wrong. The oceans didn't move. The clouds spun in loops. Cities were shaped like real ones, but with sharp lines, glowing walls, and no shadows. Lights blinked on and off like a machine was trying to learn how humans lived. People around the world watched it. Every TV, every phone. Every screen now showed the same thing, a live stream of Shadow Earth. The pulse didn't speak again. It didn't need to. Everyone understood the test had begun. Dr. Morez stood in front of a giant screen in the underground command center. The room was filled with scientists, artists, soldiers, and engineers. A countdown had started, 72 hours left. Beside her stood Raj Patel. He hadn't slept in days. His eyes were tired, but his mind was sharp. "What happens when the countdown hits 0? He asked. Dr. Morez didn't answer right away. Finally, she said, "Either it leaves us alone, or it takes everything." All over the real Earth, people reacted in different ways. Some cities went dark, sending no signals. Others exploded with noise radios, playing hundreds of songs at once. Drones flying in circles, drawing giant sky images. Ships firing fireworks straight into the clouds. Some places built statues overnight. Statues of monsters, dreams, and broken clocks. A town in Italy created a maze out of mirrors. They placed speakers at every corner that screamed jokes and sang lullabies in reverse. In India, a group of dancers performed without stopping for 60 hours, each dancer blindfolded, moving to music only they could hear. The world had turned into a planet of nonsense, and it was working. Shadow Earth began to crack. Not physically, but in behavior at first. It copied everything Earth did. If people danced, it danced. If people painted, it painted. But slowly, it started making mistakes. One city spun upside down. Another played music backward that sounded like screams. Fake birds flew into fake buildings. The simulation was breaking, but then came the twist. From the center of Shadow Earth, a signal was sent. Not from the pulse, but from inside the mirror planet. The last signal translated it. "We are learning." Dr. Morez's heart dropped. They're not just copying us, becoming us. Suddenly, every screen on Earth blinked. The video changed. Now it showed people not real ones, but clones of Earth's leaders, scientists, and even children. A clone of Dr. Morez stood in front of a fake Earth flag and spoke, "Peace is chaos. Chaos is control. You are the problem." Then the fake. Dr. Morez smiled and pulled a lever. On Shadow Earth, giant machines rose from the ground, spinning towers, floating cubes. Blue lightning ran between them. The countdown dropped. 48 hours left. Raj whispered, "What if this was never a test? What if it's building a replacement for us?" It made sense. The pulse had erased other civilizations. Maybe now it had decided. Earth is too strange to erase, so it will copy us instead. A cleaner version. A version without war, hunger, or pain, but also without art, love, or madness. Without soul, Dr. Morez stepped back. We can't let it finish. You have to break the simulation. A plan was made. They would send a virus, not a computer virus, but a human idea into the simulation. Something the pulse could not process. Something it could not control. They called it the seed. It would be sent through signal beams. Shadow Earth. Once planted, it would grow, spreading confusion. But the question was, what should the seed be? They tried everything: strange art, broken languages, paradoxes. Nothing worked. Then Norith, a little girl who once unlocked the hidden file, walked into the lab. She carried a piece of paper. It had a drawing, not perfect, just a child's sketch. It showed a monster crying while holding a flower. She gave it to Dr. Morez. "This is the seed," she said. Everyone stared. Dr. Morez looked at the drawing. "What does it mean?" someone asked. Nora shrugged. "I don't know. It's just how I feel." That was it. A feeling with no logic, no reason, only emotion, only chaos. They scanned the drawing, added human laughter, crying, whispers, and animal sounds. They created a data stream so wild no machine could understand it. They fired it straight at Shadow Earth. The seed hit the fake planet's core. And then everything stopped. Lights blinked. Buildings froze. People on Shadow Earth dropped whatever they were. Holding and looked at the sky, the countdown paused. 24 hours left. The pulse spoke again. One word. Why? The last signal translated it differently. Why be like this? When you could be perfect, no one answered. Instead, people around the world laughed, cried, danced, fought, fell in love, all at once. That was the answer. Because being human means not being perfect. Shadow Earth began to shake. Its sky turned red. The fake Dr. Morez screamed without sound. Then, one by one, the cities vanished. Water turned to glass. The trees burned. Then bloomed, and then the fake Earth cracked down. The middle from it came light. Not fire. Not death. Just silence, and then it was gone. The pulse drifted back slowly, like an animal that had seen something new for the first time. Dr. Morez stared at the sky. The countdown stopped at 13:03. Raj spoke softly. "Do you think it understood?" "Us," she smiled. "I think it couldn't decide what we were, so it left us alone." The sky was clear. Shadow Earth was gone. People cheered, cried, danced, and prayed. Cities lit up in celebration. The threat was over, or at least that's what they thought. But something stayed behind. Raj Patel noticed it first. He was in the observatory, reviewing data from the pulse's retreat. As he scanned the signal logs, a strange pattern appeared. A string of code had been left in Earth's orbit. Didn't come from any satellite, drone, or Earth device. It was left over. A digital footprint. He ran the pattern through 5 different computers. No match, no origin. He called Dr. Moore. She arrived within minutes, showed her the code-long lines of symbols, shapes, and broken characters. Some parts looked like music, others like a map. But it didn't mean anything. Or maybe it meant everything. Dr. Morez stared at it for a long time. "It's not a weapon," she whispered. "It's a question." Later that night, in a small town in Chile, a boy found a rock glowing in his backyard. When he touched it, his eyes turned white for 3 seconds. He fainted. When he woke up, he said only one sentence: "We're still being watched." The news didn't spread fast. Leaders tried to hide it. The world had just survived the most powerful threat in history. No one wanted panic again, but small things started happening. A girl in Nigeria drew a symbol in her notebook that matched one from the leftover code. A woman in Germany played a piano song in her sleep notes that lined up with the signal pattern Raj found. A child in New Zealand built a tower from toys. It matched the strange structure once seen on Shadow Earth. And then the lights returned. Not in space, but on Earth. Old machines turned on by themselves. Weather balloons sent strange data. Birds migrated in perfect square patterns. Some people had dreams of a second Earth still alive but broken, whispering in their minds. Raj and Dr. Morez called it echo code. A ghost left behind, something the Pulse forgot to clean up, or maybe something it wanted them to find. Dr. Morez gave a speech. Not to the world, but to the underground council of scientists and world leaders. Shadow Earth was a simulation, a test, but the Pulse didn't erase. It fractured it, left part of it here. I think it wants to see what we do with it. Like giving us tools, one general asked. Or a trap, someone else said. Raj stood up. He showed a map. Leftover code was not random. It pointed to 13 locations around the world. Old temples, caves, mountain peaks, sunken ruins. Every site was tied to ancient human myths. Stories of sky gods, fire from stars, voices from the clouds. It's been here before, Raj said. Long ago, they built a team, the best minds. Scientists, engineers, historians, artists, and a few regular people with strange connections to the code. Nora was one of them. The little girl who once drew the monster with a flower, she wasn't. Scared? She told Raj the Pulse is still listening. But now it's listening differently. The team traveled to the first Sci-Fi cave in Peru. Inside, they found carvings glowing faintly. The symbols matched the code exactly. As they moved deeper, walls lit up with pulses like breathing light. In the center of the cave was a stone tablet with moving patterns. Not technology, not magic. Something in between. Nora touched it, and then the cave spoke. In every language at once. What is the purpose of your chaos? Everyone went silent. No one could answer. Then Nora whispered, to feel. The cave dimmed, then released a beam of light into the sky. One of the 13 signal nodes was now active. They understood. The echo code was a second test, but not for destruction, not for war, for understanding. The Pulse hadn't left completely. It had left a seed, just like they had sent one into Shadow Earth. Now, it was Earth's turn to grow something. Each of the 13 sites would ask a question, not with words but with ideas. The team moved fast, racing across the globe. In Japan, the site was underwater, an ancient city once thought to be lost. In Kenya, it was a giant tree that hummed. In Norway, a cave that showed the future through shadows. Each place asked a different question. What do you protect? What do you remember? What will you forgive? Every time the answer came not from knowledge but from emotion. One site needed music, another needed silence. One site wanted someone to cry. Another needed someone to let go of anger. The Pulse wasn't testing its intelligence anymore. It was testing heart. By the time they reached the 13th site, an island that didn't appear on any map, they were different. The team was tired, changed, but full of something new, not fear, hope. They landed at night. The island was silent. In the center was a single chair, made of stone and wire. Next to it, a screen. Just one sentence blinked. Sit and show us who you are. Nora sat. She said nothing. But the screen lit up. It showed moments from her life. It's a lost toy, a fight with her mother, a night of laughter, a moment she wanted to disappear, and another where she felt loved. The screen blinked. A new message appeared. We understand now. You are not data. You are story. And the chair vanished. The island glowed blue, then faded. Back in space, far beyond the moon, a new signal appeared. The pulse was moving again, but this time, away from Earth, it left one final message, translated. By the last signal, you passed the real test. Not survival, but meaning. Then silence. This time, for good, Raj. Dr. Morez, Nora, and the world looked up. There was no copy anymore, no mirror planet, no countdown, only stars. And for the first time in a long time, Earth felt quiet but not empty, full like a story still being written. The pulse was gone, no countdown, no mirror Earth, no strange signals. But something had changed. People were different now, for the first time. The world had seen itself from the outside as if a mirror had shown them who they really were. Not just bodies, not just science or machines, but something deeper. They were stories, not in books or screens, but living stories, each person holding memories, feelings, mistakes, and moments that couldn't be explained by logic. That idea started to spread. Governments didn't fall, but they softened. Scientists began working with poets. Engineers asked children for design ideas. Musicians built new languages. Farmers painted their fields into messages that could be seen from space. Everything was strange. It made sense. They had survived the most powerful intelligence in the universe, not by fighting it, but by being human. 1 year passed. Dr. Morez traveled the world, giving talks not about the pulse, but about feeling. We used to build rockets, she told students. Now we build meaning. Raj Patel opened a school not for math or code, but for dreaming. Children there weren't graded. They were asked to imagine the impossible. And Nora, the girl who once gave them the first seed, was no longer just a child. People listened to her like she was a voice for something bigger. She didn't want fame. She just said, "The pulse left because we confused it. We didn't act like a species. We acted like a story." Then came the second message. Not from the pulse. From beyond where even it had gone. The signal came in quietly, hidden in the background noise of the stars. No flashing lights. No threats, just one sentence. We saw the pulse run from you. You're listening now. It came from a system no one had studied before, beyond the known. Map of stars. Unknown, untouched. Dr. Morez stared at the translation. If the pulse feared us, what are these new ones? Raj whispered. Not fear, maybe curiosity. The new signal didn't repeat. It just waited. The Earth's people didn't panic. They remembered this time. There was no plan to fight. They sent a message back, simple as song. It was a recording of hundreds of voices from around the world, laughing, crying, singing in different languages. In the background, a child said, "We are a story." The message was launched through satellites, deep-range antennas, and light pulses. It took hours to leave Earth's atmosphere, days to travel past the moon, months to reach even the edges of the unknown. Then Earth waited, not afraid, just curious. In the meantime, strange things began happening again, but not bad in France. A group of painters found their artwork glowing. Under moonlight, in Argentina, a girl dreamed of a library in space filled with books that had no words, only feelings. In Canada, a boy wrote music that made plants grow faster. These events weren't magic. They weren't science either. They were something new, something in between. Raj and Dr. Morez called it story field energy, a new form of interaction left behind by the echo code. It wasn't just data. It was emotion as structure, feelings. That could shape reality. The more people shared real feelings, the stronger it became. Hope became electricity. Memory became music. Dreams became patterns in the sky. For the first time, Earth was not trying to survive. It was trying to be understood. More years passed. Children born after the pulse didn't fear space. They dreamed of meeting the watchers behind the second signal. One day, it did. The second signal returned. Not as sound, not as light, but as a vision. It appeared to everyone at once, across the planet. No screens. No devices. Just a feeling in the air, and then an image in every mind. A floating city of silver and shadow. Creatures with no faces. But voices like wind. They said nothing. But somehow every person understood the message. Tell us more. And so Earth did. Not with weapons or flags, but with stories. People launched. Memory Beaconsteiny devices that carried human thoughts, moments, smells, laughter. Each beacon contained one true story. Not fiction, not fantasy, but something real from someone's life. Like a man who forgave his father, or a girl who watched the stars with her dying mother, or a boy who gave up his own wish, so someone else could live. These beacons drifted into space like fireflies. The watchers responded, not with words, but with understanding. They sent back their own stories. Strange, wild, beautiful. Like a civilization that lived inside songs, or creatures that never spoke, but touched. Memories through wind. Earth began to change again. It was no longer alone, not just in space, but in meaning. The people had passed through terror, through survival, through chaos, and had arrived in something more powerful: connection. They didn't build warships anymore. They built message vessels, each one made from music, light, story, and memory, not to conquer, but to introduce themselves, because now they understood. To exist is not to control. To exist is to be remembered. The stars were closer now, not physically, but in the hearts of people. Earth was no longer just a planet. It was a voice in the universe, a voice with memory, with feeling, with story. The second signal had changed everything. The watchers had asked for more. Not knowledge, not facts, just ... story, and Earth wanted to answer. So the world built them. Message-vessels, not rockets, not machines. They were shaped like seeds, made from glass, light, metal, and emotion. Inside each one was a single true story, a memory so real, so human, it could never be forgotten. Each country, each culture, each person was invited to submit a story. Not perfect ones, not beautiful ones, just true ones. Some were 1 minute long, others entire lives. Some had words. Others were only colors, sounds, smells. Raj called them soul fragments. Dr. Morez helped design the system to choose which stories would go. But the process wasn't easy. The world asked a question: which stories are worth carrying? Debate started. Arguments broke out. Should the vessels carry love, pain, failure, victory, hate, forgiveness? A boy's story of losing his dog, a grandmother's final song, a soldier's regret, a thief's apology. People began to realize every story had value, not because it was good or bad, but because it was real. So they made a choice. 13 message vessels, one for each original echo. Each vessel would carry a collection of stories, a balance: joy, sorrow, fear, hope, silence, music, and each vessel would be launched in a different direction, into the unknown, toward possible listeners. Before the launch, the world held its breath. The vessels stood tall, glowing softly. They hummed with life, with emotion. Nora, now older, placed her hand on the first one. She whispered, "We are not perfect, but we are true." Then the vessels rose into the sky. No engines, just light. They floated higher and higher until they disappeared. Beyond the blue dot, the world watched in silence. And then they cheered, but Raj stayed quiet. He stared at the stars because he had seen something. A flicker. Far away, a light that moved and then stopped. He turned to Dr. Morez. "Did you see that?" She nodded. It wasn't one of their vessels. Something else was waiting, and now it had noticed them. The watchers were not alone either. Something even older had seen the messages. Something that hadn't spoken in a million years. And now it wanted a story too. The vessels had flown. Stories from Earth were now drifting through space, small lights carrying memories. Love, sorrow, and hope. People returned to their lives changed. They felt proud, connected, seen, but not all eyes were gentle, far beyond. The place where even the pulse had wandered. Something stirred, something old, older than the stars. It had been there before time had a name. It had seen galaxies born and die, civilizations rise and vanish, and through it all, it had watched in silence. No one knew its name because it had forgotten it. It had no home, no voice, no feeling left. Until now, it heard Earth's stories, and it remembered what it had lost. Not power, it's not control, but feeling. And now it wanted more. One night, all of Earth heard it. No sound, just a presence, a pull in the air, a weight in the dreams of millions. Children woke up crying. Birds flew in circles. The oceans stood still. Raj was the first to name it, the listener. That sleeps. It did not speak like the pulse. It did not test like the watchers. It simply waited. Dr. Merez studied the patterns in the sky. Strange symbols appeared near Saturn, lines in space, faint but clear. It was calling, not to destroy, not to question, but to feel again. It wanted one story, not from a machine, not from data, from a person. It wanted someone to come to its hand, tell it a story face, dash to dash face. The world froze. Who would go? Nora stepped forward. By now, she was a young woman. Not famous, just brave. I'll do it, she said. They built her a small vessel. Not for war, not even for science, just for travel. It was silent, smooth, made from the same glowing material. As the echo sites, she called it memory leaf. Before leaving, she recorded one message. Stories are not just to remember us. They're to remind us who we still can be. Then she left. No countdown. No sound. Just a whisper of wind and light. The journey took weeks. Out past Mars, beyond Jupiter. Near Saturn, everything stopped. No stars. No gravity. No time. And there. It waited, the listener. A shape too big to see. Not a creature. Not a planet. Just a feeling. Nora floated before it. She spoke no words. Instead, she closed her eyes, shared her story. She showed it her fears, her dreams, her loneliness as a child, the time she thought she was broken, the time she found hope again. She shared the story of Earth, of humans, of sadness and beauty and laughter and pain, of a species that was still learning, still growing. The listener did not reply, but it began to glow, a soft blue light. It remembered not war, not knowledge, but its own forgotten heart. It sent one final thought: thank you for waking me. Then it slept again, but this time with peace. The ship returned weeks later empty. Nora never came back. But no one was sad. They knew she had become part of something larger. Her story had awakened to God, and Earth was now part of the universe's memory, back on Earth. Raj planted a small tree where Nora used to sit as a girl. He named it the Story Tree. Each year, people from every country visited it. They left messages, drawings, songs, memories, not to be remembered, but to remember themselves. And in the sky, a new light now shone. Not a star, not a planet, just a shimmer, where the listener slept, where stories were kept. And Earth, just one little voice, was now part of the great story of everything forever.